Basel, Switzerland, 2014. Inside a guarded booth at a jewelry fair, a small quartz dial sits almost hidden, buried under a storm of colored stones. A jeweler adjusts the lighting so the pinks and blues catch the room. The dial is the least important thing on the object. On a platinum bracelet rest more than 110 carats of the rarest diamonds on Earth. Ranked by highest verified value in US dollars, from the smallest figure to the largest. Some were sold under the hammer, some were valued by the houses that built them. Every price on screen carries its type. Number 10. Geneva, November 2016. A steel wristwatch crosses the block at Philippe. It looks plain beside the gold and platinum around it, and that plainness is exactly why the room leans forward. This is a Patek Philippe reference 1518, the first perpetual calendar chronograph ever made in a production series. Patek produced roughly 280 examples across more than a decade, nearly all of them in yellow gold, a smaller number in pink. In steel, only 4 are known to exist. Steel was the cheap metal in the 1940s, reserved for tool watches and pocket instruments, almost never spent on a grand complication. That contradiction, the humblest material wrapped around one of the most sophisticated movements of its era, is what makes these 4 an accident of history nobody can repeat. The watch had sold once before, years earlier, for a fraction of what was about to happen. The bidding opened around $3 million and climbed past every estimate in the catalog. Past 5, past 8, past 10. When it stopped, the number was $11.14 million. For a watch built in the metal of a wrench. Number 9. New York, October 2017. A Rolex Daytona sits on a velvet tray, its dial a strange Art Deco pattern with squared-off markers that buyers once found so unappealing the watches sold slowly and were made in small numbers. That early indifference is the reason so few exist today. On the caseback, 4 words are engraved. Drive carefully, me. The watch belonged to the actor Paul Newman. His wife, Joanne Woodward, gave it to him in 1968 while he was learning to drive race cars for a film, worried he would hurt himself. Newman wore it nearly every day for the next 15 years, in photograph after photograph, until it became fused to his image. Then, in the 1980s, he simply handed it to his daughter's boyfriend, and the most famous watch in the world went quiet for 3 decades. When it finally surfaced at Philippe, the room already knew what it was. The first bid was $10 million. 12 minutes later, the hammer fell at $17.75 million. It remains the most expensive Rolex ever sold, and a large share of the proceeds went to charity. Number 8. A watch that hides nothing. The Jacob & Company Billionaire, unveiled in 2015, is 260 carats of emerald-cut diamonds set edge to edge across an 18-carat white gold case, with a tourbillon turning behind the stones. There is no steel here, no restraint, no quiet. It was built to be seen from across a room, and it was, most famously, on the wrist of the boxer Floyd Mayweather. Traditional collectors call it jewelry rather than horology, and the maker does not argue. Its price was set at $18 million. Not a hammer price, a number attached at the moment of its making. Number 7. Geneva, November 2014. A gold pocket watch, 70 millimeters across, heavier than a deck of cards, is lowered into the light at Sotheby's. It was commissioned in 1925 by a New York banker named Henry Graves, Jr., who wanted one thing: the most complicated watch on Earth. Patek Philippe spent the better part of a decade building it. When it was delivered in 1933, it carried 24 complications, including a chart of the night sky over Graves's Fifth Avenue apartment. Graves had a rival, the automobile magnate James Ward Packard, and the 2 men spent years quietly competing to own the most impressive timepiece ever built. This was Graves's answer, and it won. It held the title of the most complicated watch made by human hands without any computer for 56 years. It is assembled from around 900 separate parts, and after it was wound in 1969, It kept perfect time for decades untouched. In the packed room at the Beau Rivage Hotel, the bidding ran in $250,000 jumps for a full 15 minutes, the crowd laughing once when a bidder offered $19,999,000. When the hammer fell, the room stood and applauded. The final figure was 23.2 million Swiss francs. $24 million. Number 6. A watch that is mostly garden. The Chopard 201 carat is built around 874 diamonds arranged like petals, opening outward from 3 enormous heart-shaped stones at its center. A 15-carat pink, a 12-carat blue, and an 11-carat yellow, each one a fortune on its own before a single petal is added around it. When the wrist turns, the whole arrangement is designed to move slightly, so the flower seems to tremble. The timekeeping mechanism is almost an afterthought, folded somewhere beneath the blooms, where it will rarely be read. Chopard has never put it under an auctioneer's hammer, and has never offered it for private sale either. The house values it at $25 million, and because no one has ever been allowed to buy it, that number has never once been tested by a bidder. Number 5. Geneva, November 2019. A charity auction called Only Watch, held every 2 years to fund research into a childhood muscular disease. The lot is a single Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime, reference 6300A, and the A at the end matters because it means steel. Patek makes the Grandmaster Chime in gold. This is the only one that will ever exist in stainless steel, marked the only one on a small dial at 12 o'clock. It carries 20 complications and more than 1,400 moving parts, with 2 patented world firsts hidden among its chimes, including an alarm that strikes the time you set. The case reverses on its lugs to show a second full dial, one side salmon, the other black. Patek's own president said afterward he had dreamed of maybe 20 million and never expected more. The estimate on the catalog was around $3 million. The bidding opened at 5, jumped to 10 within seconds on a bid from the room, then moved to the telephones and ran away entirely. The hammer came down at $31.19 million. It is the most expensive watch ever sold at open auction anywhere in the world. Every franc of it went to research into a disease that kills children. Number 4. This one was never sold, and never worn by the woman whose name it carries. In 1783, a secret admirer of Queen Marie Antoinette commissioned Abraham Louis Breguet, the greatest watchmaker of his age, to build her a pocket watch containing every complication then known. There was no budget and no deadline. Breguet worked on it for decades. Marie Antoinette went to the guillotine in 1793. Breguet himself died in 1823. The watch, known simply as the number 160, was not finished until 1827, 44 years after it was ordered, completed by his son. It was stolen from a museum in Jerusalem in 1983 and lost for over 20 years before it resurfaced. Today it sits behind glass at the LA Mayer Museum, valued at around $30 million, a price no sale has ever confirmed because it has never truly been for sale. Number 3. The Jaeger-LeCoultre Joaillerie 101 Manchette. Its secret is not the diamonds that cover it, though there are many. Its secret is inside. The Caliber 101, a mechanical movement first built in 1929 and still one of the smallest ever made, weighing about 1 gram. The watch wraps the wrist like a cuff of white gold and stones, the tiny dial almost lost in the sparkle. A working mechanical heart beating somewhere in all of it. Queen Elizabeth II wore a watch built on this same movement to her own coronation. This version is valued near $26 million by its maker, a figure set in a boardroom rather than a sale room. Number 2. Graff again, and this time the watch refuses to stay a watch. The Fascination, unveiled in 2015, carries 152 carats of white diamonds, and at its center sits a single pear-shaped stone of 38 carats, D flawless, the highest grade a diamond can hold. That center stone lifts out. It detaches from the watch entirely and becomes a ring, so the owner can wear the timepiece on one occasion and the diamond alone on the next. Two objects in one, each worth more than most houses. Graff sets its value at $40 million. No auction has ever touched it. Number 1. Return to that guarded booth in Basel, 2014. The watch is called the Hallucination, and its maker, Lawrence Graff, set out to build the single most valuable timepiece on Earth. He nearly buried the point of a watch to do it. More than 110 carats of colored diamonds cover the platinum bracelet. Pinks and blues and greens and yellows and oranges, cut into hearts and pears and emeralds. Colors so rare that assembling this many in one place took years of searching the world's mines. Natural colored diamonds appear perhaps once in every 10,000 stones mined, and a vivid blue or green among them is rarer still, which is why a single bracelet holding this many, in this many colors, has no equal anywhere. The work took years of sourcing and 2.5 years of setting, each stone individually cut and mounted by hand. The clasp is hidden entirely and opens only when pressure is applied to one specific diamond that the wearer must know to find. The dial that makes it technically a watch is a small quartz face, tucked among the gems, almost apologetic, running on a battery while the fortune around it does the real work. Graff values the Hallucination at $55 million. It has never been sold, never been auctioned, never priced by anyone but the man who built it, and there is no public record that it has ever left his possession. Somewhere in a vault, the most valuable watch ever made is telling perfect quartz time to no one at all.